Imagine you have a job, but your boss pays you in fresh sardines. Not a joke. He hands you 50 sardines every Friday. You can eat sardines, sure. But you need to pay the rent. And your landlord does not want sardines. He wants something he can use to pay the electric bill. And the power company does not want sardines or whatever the landlord might offer them. See the problem? Without something that everyone accepts, every transaction becomes an endless chain of exchanges. It is exhausting. It is inefficient. And for thousands of years, it was reality. In the first season, we discovered what money is, formalized trust, a collective agreement. But knowing what money is does not answer an equally important question. What does money do? What are its functions? Today we are going to discover that money has 3 jobs. And when it fails at any one of them, the economy falls apart. Welcome to the second season of Everything Has a Price. In the first season we traveled from Neolithic villages to Lydian coins, Roman denarii, and the stones of Yap. We learned that money is not the material it is made of. It is a social agreement. A technology invented by human beings to solve a fundamental problem: how to cooperate at scale. Now for the next step. If money is a tool, what exactly is it for? What jobs does it perform? Economists have been thinking about this for centuries. And they have arrived at a surprisingly clear answer. Money has 3 basic functions. 3 jobs it must perform simultaneously. If it fails at even one, the whole system wobbles. Let us start with the first. Think about a medieval market. A farmer arrives with wheat. A blacksmith with knives. A shepherd with wool. A carpenter with chairs. Without money, every product needs a price in terms of every other product. How much wheat is a knife worth? How many chairs equal a sheep? How much wool buys a sack of wheat? If there are 4 products, you need 6 different prices. If there are 10, you need 45. If there are 100, as in any decent market, you need nearly 5,000 price combinations. It is chaos. Nobody can keep all that in their head. Money solves this problem elegantly. Instead of comparing everything with everything else, you compare everything with a single reference. Wheat costs 2 coins. A knife costs 5. A chair costs 10. Now you only need 100 prices instead of nearly 5,000. This is what economists call a unit of account. Money as a measuring stick. Just as meters measure distance and kilograms measure weight, money measures value. The Romans understood this perfectly. Across the entire empire, from Britain to Syria, prices were expressed in denarii. A legionary knew exactly what his salary was worth because everything was denominated in the same unit. He could compare the price of wheat in Rome with the price of wheat in Alexandria. That sounds trivial. It is not. It is a cognitive revolution. Without a common unit of account, large-scale trade is practically impossible. It is like trying to build a house where every carpenter uses a different unit of measurement. One measures in handspans, another in feet, another in cubits. The result is a disaster. The first job of money, then, is to be a universal reference. A common language for expressing how much everything is worth. Let us go back to the sardine problem. Your boss pays you in sardines, but you need to pay the rent. The landlord does not want sardines. He wants olive oil. The oil producer does not want sardines. He wants wood. The lumber merchant does not want oil. He wants sardines. In theory, you could organize a chain of exchanges. Sardines for oil, oil for wood, wood for, wait, you have lost count. In the first season we saw that this is called the double coincidence of wants. For barter to work, each party must want exactly what the other is offering, at the exact time, in the exact quantity. Money eliminates that problem in one stroke. You sell the sardines for money. You use the money to pay the rent. The landlord uses that money to buy oil. Each transaction is independent. You do not need to find someone who wants exactly what you have. This is the medium of exchange. The second job of money. And probably the most visible in your daily life. Every time you buy a coffee, pay a bill, or transfer money to a friend, money is doing this job. It serves as a universal intermediary. A bridge between what you have and what you need. But note this. For something to work as a medium of exchange, it must meet certain conditions. It must be accepted by everyone, or at least nearly everyone in that economy. It must be easy to carry. It must be divisible, able to handle large and small payments. And it must be hard to counterfeit. Gold met several of these conditions. But it was heavy and hard to divide precisely. Coins improved on that. Banknotes improved it further. And today, digital payments have taken it to a level our ancestors could not have imagined. And here we arrive at the third job. perhaps the most subtle. And the one that affects your life the most without you realizing it. Imagine you are a farmer. It is October. You have just brought in the harvest. You have tons of wheat. But you do not need to buy anything right now. You will need to buy seeds in March, tools in April, hire laborers in May. What do you do with the wheat? If you store it, it rots. Mice eat it. It takes up space. It loses quality. But if you sell it for money, you can hold that money for months. And when March arrives, it will still be worth roughly the same. You will be able to buy the seeds you need. This is the store of value. Money lets you separate the moment you earn from the moment you spend. You can store value today and use it tomorrow, next month, or 10 years from now. Think about it. Without a store of value, everyone would have to spend everything they earn immediately. There would be no saving, no investment, no retirement, no inheritance. The ability to store wealth for the future is fundamental to civilization as we know it. Now, here is the important part. Money is a good store of value only if it maintains its purchasing power. If today you can buy 100 loaves of bread with 100 euros, and a year from now you can buy 95, you have lost a little value. That is normal inflation. Annoying, but manageable. But if a year from now those 100 euros only buy 10 loaves of bread, money has failed at its third job. It has stopped being a reliable store of value. And that brings us to a real story. Venezuela had one of the most prosperous economies in Latin America. Huge oil reserves. A solid middle class. A currency, the bolivar, that had been stable for decades. Starting in 2013, the situation changed. A combination of economic policies, falling oil prices, and loss of institutional confidence triggered a spiral. The government began printing money to cover its expenses. Prices started rising. And they did not stop. Between 2013 and 2021, the bolivar lost more than 99.99% of its value. That is not an exaggeration. That is the actual figure. What happened to the three functions? The bolivar stopped working as a store of value. Holding bolivars was like holding ice in the sun. It melted. People got paid and rushed to spend immediately, before it lost more value. Then it failed as a unit of account. Prices changed so fast that shops stopped putting up price tags. What good is a price if it will be double tomorrow? Venezuelans began thinking in dollars, even though they were paid in bolivars. And finally, it failed as a medium of exchange. Merchants began refusing bolivars. They preferred dollars, euros, or even direct barter. The sardines returned, in a manner of speaking. When money loses one function, the others wobble. It is a domino effect. And the consequences are paid by ordinary families. Mothers and fathers watching the savings of a lifetime turn to nothing. That is not abstract economic theory. It is the real life of millions of people. There is something more. Some economists add a fourth function that is often left out of basic explanations, the standard of deferred payment. Sounds technical. It is not. Think about a mortgage. You sign an agreement today to pay a fixed amount every month for 30 years. That only works if the unit in which you express that debt, euros, dollars, maintains a stable meaning throughout that entire period. If you sign a mortgage for 1,000 euros a month and within 5 years 1,000 euros cannot even buy a loaf of bread, the contract loses meaning. The lender receives something worthless. Or the other way around, if 1,000 euros in 5 years is worth much more than today, the borrower is paying an unfair amount. Money as a standard of deferred payment means it allows people to make long-term economic promises. Loans, contracts, salaries, pensions, insurance. All of it depends on the currency maintaining a reasonably predictable value over time. Some economists consider this a separate function. Others, like those at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, argue it is simply a combination of the other three. The debate remains open. What is not in dispute is that without stability over time, long-term contracts become impossible. And without long-term contracts, the modern economy does not work. Let us bring all this down to earth. The three functions of money are not abstract concepts from an economics textbook. They are the invisible infrastructure on which you build your life. When you check the price of an apartment and compare it with another, you are using the unit of account. When you pay at the supermarket, you are using the medium of exchange. When you put money in a savings account for next summer's vacation, you are using the store of value. All three functions work together. All the time. Without you thinking about it. And that is precisely why, when they fail, the blow is so brutal. In Venezuela, families who had saved for decades watched their money evaporate. Pensions that promised a dignified retirement became pocket change. Contracts signed in good faith turned into worthless paper. Now think about your own life. What currency are you paid in? Do you trust that a year from now it will be worth roughly the same? If the answer is yes, you live in a system where money does its three jobs. If one day the answer is no, you will know exactly what is broken. 4 ideas to take away from this episode. First, money has three basic functions: unit of account, which lets you measure and compare value; medium of exchange, which eliminates the need for direct barter; and store of value, which lets you save wealth for the future. Second, there is a possible fourth function, the standard of deferred payment, which makes long-term contracts like mortgages and pensions possible. Third, the three functions are interdependent. When one fails, the others crumble. Venezuela is a real and recent example of this domino effect. Fourth, these functions are not abstract theory. They are the invisible foundation of your daily economic life. Every purchase, every saving, every price comparison depends on money doing its three jobs well. Money has three jobs: measure, facilitate, store. Now we know. But for most of history, money was something you could hold in your hand. A gold coin. A piece of silver. Something with value of its own. What if someone told you that you could use a piece of paper instead of a gold coin? That the paper was worth the same? Would you believe it? In the 17th century, a group of London goldsmiths had exactly that idea. And it changed the world forever. That is what we will see in the next episode.